you ready for this.
Gonna be fun.
You will not stand in my way.
Frostborn. Hunger. This pleases me.
I do not fear you, mortal.
Your soul shall be mine.
Don't make me laugh.
Needs a boot?
Oh, I do.
Feel a shredding, baby. Let the battle begin.
So hello and welcome to the 44th episode of the Nexus Trolls, a podcast all about Heroes of the Storm, part of the Trolls.gg podcast network. I'm your host, Linus Daz Kilius. Got it right this week, guys. And I'm joined today, as always, by LiQuiuD and Mystic. How's it going, guys?
Going good, Dad.
Yes, I occasionally say Linus Dad Kilius. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I've got a kid. But still, it just tends to happen from time to time. But if you're watching this, I guess you can't watch it live because Twitch is down, but if you're watching this, the VOD of this show, you might notice it's a little bit tighter in here than usual because we've got a couple guests. First time we've ever had 5 people on the show, and they are cooler than White Walkers wearing Ray-Bans. We've got Kristen and Jeff from Heroes Forge podcast to join us today. How's it going, Kristen and Jeff?
Going great today. Thanks for asking.
And I've been... I think I sent an email to Kristen about this earlier. I said I was rationally, irrationally excited to have these guys on today. LiQuiuD and Mystic can both attest to how much chatter I've had with them, saying how excited I am to finally have these guys on the show. For those of you who have never seen the Heroes Forge podcast, it's definitely a unique show, different than pretty much any other Heroes podcast you've ever seen, and it's one that I try and listen to whenever I can. Kristen, do you want to tell us a little bit about the show and exactly what you guys do on Heroes Forge?
Well, certainly. Heroes Forge was a show originally put together by Jeff, and he brought me in on it because we had such a great time forging the first hero, the Dark Wanderer of Diablo 2. And the whole premise of Heroes Forge is that we take characters from the Blizzard universe and imagine what they would be like within Heroes. We build kits for them, and then, of course, the best part, we give them special costumes and we give them dances.
Cool. I definitely love the dances too. And oh man, like I said, the energy you guys have on the show is infectious. I feel like it's already infecting me for the show today too. Like, so Jeff, why did you decide to start the show when you guys came up with it? Well, I guess when you came up with the idea for Heroes Forge?
You know, I was inspired by a lot of Heroes podcasts. And, you know, first and foremost, a lot of people out there always talk about the Heroes community and how awesome it is. And so I was part of that as a listener. And I just got, you know, one day I was thinking, you know, I need to start a show. But if I'm going to start a show, it's got to be a little different because there are already so many shows out there like your guys' show and Into the Nexus and all these other shows out there that do this thing so well. What can we do that's different and something that we're passionate about? So ever since the beginning, Kristen and I have been putting together these kits for Heroes. And I mean, it's been a blast.
Yeah, and you're what, like into your 80-something episode now too? You guys have come quite a ways on it too. I'm not surprised that most of the heroes, it seems, have almost already made their way into the Nexus since you forged them too. I think Blizzard might be watching and taking cues from you guys.
Gosh, wouldn't that be awesome if they were actually listening to our show and taking cues? And, you know, before we move on, I got to say something about your intro. Talk about inspiring. That intro makes me want to play Heroes more than anything. I'm listening to it, all these like battle commands and stuff coming from all of the other heroes in the show. I'm like, I need to just quit this podcast right now and go play the game.
That's the trouble with Heroes. You always want to play it, and it's kind of hard to pull yourself away from the computer screen for a couple hours to do a podcast like this. But you know what, Jeff? Thanks so much for deciding, you know, I'm going to put the Heroes away for a couple hours and join the Nexus Trolls on their show for a bit. Hey, are you guys coming to BlizzCon this year?
Absolutely, we are. And we'll also be at the Con Before the Storm as well, where Jeff will be up on the Heroes panel with the likes of Scott Johnson and Kyle Ferguson.
And guess who else is going to be on that panel as well? LiQuiuD right above you. So, yeah, we're going to be at Con Before the Storm and BlizzCon as well. It's our first time, though, so we're first-timers. I think you guys might be vets, though, if I'm not mistaken.
We've got some leather jackets and some letters on those jackets.
Whenever I hear somebody is going to BlizzCon for the first time, I'm like, You have no idea what you're in for. You have no idea how awesome it's going to be. It's going to blow your mind. There are 20,000 people there that are all passionate about the same thing that you're passionate about. The cinematic plays, everybody's standing up, cheering, yelling, screaming. You're going to have a blast.
I already know I'm going to be in one place like the entire weekend. So
yeah, LiQuiuD is a very big esports fan, so he's pretty much going to be front and center the whole time. I can't wait to check out all the panels and everything too. LiQuiuD's like, I'll save your seat, man. I'm not moving. I want to have the best seat in the house the whole time.
Those stages, you are going to experience something you can't even imagine. I am so excited for you. That's wonderful.
Yeah, and I'm excited. And if anyone who's listening or watching the show has come out, definitely just tweet at us or whatever. I'm sure any of us here at the Nexus Trolls or anyone from Heroes Forge would love to say hi and everything too. So we'll welcome. And if you have any tips for us too as first timers, please send them along to our show as well. Cool. Well, guys, before we start the show, we always thank our patrons over at patreon.com/trollsgg. The show is always going to be free, but if you're looking for a way to support us, you can definitely do so there. It's very much appreciated. And as per usual as well, we also like to put a shout out to our troll of the week this week. And Kristen and Jeff, I think you actually know this troll. It's Ro. I think a lot of people out in the community know Ro. He does the Realm Maintenance podcast, and he was actually one of the first people that reached out to us when we started doing our show, said, hey, asked if we needed some help. We actually, myself and LiQuiuD went on to the Realm Maintenance podcast and did a little interview with him there. I think I saw that you guys had him on your show once doing like a guest forge too. Ironically, we were talking about before the show started, I tried clipping a little bit of the audio, like one of the bumpers that they use on the Heroes Forge podcast, and I was going through a whole bunch of shows trying to find like the perfect audio segment, but Jeff always talks at the very end of the bumper, so I could never clip the audio just perfect. But luckily, going through it all, I came across, I was like, oh hey, Ro was on one of their episodes that I never saw, so I was like, that's a good little nugget of knowledge that I learned along the way too. But Ro, thank you so much for being such a great pillar of the community. Everyone at all the podcasts, I know everyone I've ever talked to loves you. Thanks so much, and you're our troll of the week, sir. Cool. So with that, how about we just jump right into the news, guys?
Someday, this will make a great story.
So LiQuiuD, do you want to take away this first topic here?
Sure. So, Nelstar15, who is actually one of the social media managers for Heroes Hype, he's from Houston, and decided that he was going to try and put this charity together to try and help the people who have been affected by Hurricane Harvey. He's working with Nayli Hots to put it together. They are starting Friday at 6 p.m. and they're going all the way through Monday at 6 p.m. He's lined up streamers to come in and like stream for basically 72 hours. There's a donate link in our show notes, and I'm not gonna read it to you right now because actually, I guess it's not that hard. Tiltify.com/events/heroes-4-Harvey. You can also check out the hashtag Heroes for Harvey. Or if you want to make it easier on yourself, on Twitter, contact @Nelstar15 or @Nayli Hots. That's NAYELIE Hots. Yeah, I'm sure they'd appreciate any help or any donations or anything. It's a good cause, and actually Nelstar's been working like really hard on putting all this together. So yeah, check it out this weekend.
Yeah, it's always super cool when you see the community come together for charity events like this too. So definitely check it out, and hopefully she'll make their funding goals and everything too to help out those affected by Hurricane Harvey. So we had a little development video which popped since our last show. Kristen and Jeff, did you guys see the video? I'm sure you did. Do I even have to ask if you guys have seen it? I'm sure you have. Kristen, what did you see in the video that you liked the best? Let's start there.
Oh goodness! And I mean, the question, right, is how many times have you watched this development video, right? That's the thing. Well, my favorite, of course, is the new Sonya skin that's coming out. I love Sonya, and I love right. It's amazing, and they have a variation where she doesn't have the hat on, and I am sold with that.
That's the one I want. Oh my god,
the
so
red one?
awesome looking. Yes.
Team Death Knight Sonya, LiQuiuD, and Kristen. How about you, Jeff? Is there anything you're looking forward to there?
Yeah, I'm all about KT, obviously. I mean, I'm really excited about all of his stuff, and I really love his what I'm calling the Star-Lord KT skin. I think it's really cool, and I've seen it in the PTR, and it's really good.
And how about you, Mystic? You looking forward to any of these skins?
I'm kind of in the boat, or same boat that I really like KT. He's since I've played a lot of Warcraft 3, you know, I've been a big fan, as with a lot of other people, right? And the Star-Lord KT really makes him look extremely cool.
See, I even know we're talking about Kel Thuzad, but every time everyone says KT, all I can think about is Kel Thuzad. What should we start calling Kel Thuzad? Do we just call him Kale or Kel Thuzad? Like, is there any sort of like standardized bit we're going with from here on out?
If I remember correctly, Blizzard said it's Kale.
Okay.
But now I gotta go back to the Twitters to make sure.
So I've got to undo all that KT I've been calling him for the past couple of years and switch over to Kale. It's going to take a while. It's going to take some doing. But yes, anytime we talk about KT, that should now be known as Kel Thuzad, not Kel Thuzad. So other than those we've talked about, we're also getting Dreadlord Jaina, we're getting Crypt Queen Zagara, Theramore Jaina, an Earthbreaker Grizzly, which I thought is pretty cool. I don't usually get too excited for mounts, but I was pretty excited for that one. A ton of sprays, portraits, and tint variations as well. The one, though, that I'm looking forward to is Dreadlord Jaina. And I know there's a lot of talk about breaking the silhouette that, you know, Blizzard is always trying to maintain. I was taking a quick look at it, trying to give my eye to it, and I was like, oh, I guess it's kind of like a cape. They don't have the wings spread out too far, so maybe that's what they're going with. But it'll be interesting to see if that ends up being confusing. I guess maybe we'll see a lot of Jaina Kerrigan comps trying to confuse people, get into their mind a little bit, right?
Dreadlord Jaina is a close second for me. I really love the Death Knight Sonya, though, especially since I like Sonya better than Jaina. My biggest problem, though, Crypt Queen Zagara does not look enough like a spider, because they had to keep that silhouette of Zagara, and I'm like, no, you could have made this so much cooler. So, yeah.
Kristen, are you doing any cosplay for Blizzard this year? I seem to remember seeing a tweet ages ago. I think you did Sonya last Blizzard? Or not Blizzard, BlizzCon.
Sonya.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I said Blizzard, but I meant BlizzCon. That was a little slip of the tongue.
We know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, last year I did Sonya, very level 1 barbarian kind of thing. And this year I'm going with Deputy Vala.
Oh, nice. Definitely one of my favorite skins as well for Vala. Yeah, I think most of my costume cosplay gets poured into Halloween and the kids making their costumes. We're going as Pokemon. Well, the kids are going as Pokemon trainers, and they're picking us as different Pokemon. So my wife is going as Pikachu, and I think we're settling on Charizard for me. We'll have to see what my kids land on. They switch their minds every few minutes. They're both 4 and 6. They're fairly young, and they don't like usually pick one and stick with it too often. But I'm pretty excited for that. So. Okay, so LiQuiuD, did you see this news here? This is something that I thought might excite you a little bit.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, we've got HotsAPI.net is a HotSlog's potential alternative, and they've got an API for third parties to access. I know we've talked a lot about Blizzard getting that API access to some of their replay data. Does this kind of interest you at all, LiQuiuD, being the stat nerd you are?
So a couple of things. First, HotSlogs has an API too. Just I don't want to like bash them too hard.
Okay.
Because it is like the most commonly used in the community, right? Because it's been around the longest. What's interesting to me is actually the way that this guy approached it. He said, instead of building HotSlogs or a HotSlogs replacement, I'm going to make an API, and I'm going to provide you guys an S3 bucket so that everybody can upload all their files to the same Amazon S3 bucket, and then you, as the website publisher, like, so we could create the TheNexusTrolls /log, right, or something like that, right? Troll and logs, right? And people would go there and they would run their little queries, and we would make the API calls to HOTS API, and we would pay for the transfer of those log files, right? So it's a really, really cool idea. I like the way he's approaching it simply because he's saying, I'm not going to be a HotSlogs killer. I'm going to present people with the back end so that you can try to become the HotSlog killer if you want to. I don't know how well it's going to go. I uploaded all my replays just because I like to encourage people to develop. I also told him if he needed anything, let me know. I'd be happy to help him. I just don't know if it's going to go anywhere because somebody needs to do the front end work, and I don't know that anybody's going to do that.
Sounds like a bit of a chicken and the egg problem too. I guess this happens frequently in software development. So if it does go somewhere, where do you see it going? Anywhere in particular? Like where can we take advantages? Where can like your average user, maybe with no tech experience, expect to see this kind of play out in the future?
So that's the beautiful thing about this. The average no technical skill user would never even see this, right? So it literally comes down to, let's say we decide we're going to create trollandlogs.com. We would write up a little front page and give people little buttons, much like the hot slog stuff. And we would just query his site for the actual data. So we would offer an uploader on our webpage, but that uploader would actually send HOTS API net the data. So he would be like the master vault of data, if you will, right? He's the big data in the cloud that we would then call to do stuff. And that's the piece that's missing. I haven't seen anybody, I haven't checked the Reddit thread tonight. But so far, I haven't seen anybody really say, yeah, I'll totally do that. There have been a couple of people that have had conversations around it, but not necessarily someone that said, yeah, I'm totally going to build this new site based on this API.
Cool. We'll have to see where that goes in the weeks and months to come, I guess. And on to our final news item, and I don't even know if this constitutes being news, but I threw it in there anyways because I thought it was kind of interesting. Mystic, there's only one hero that's going to be left with Call Down Mule after this PTR patch goes live. Is this a sad day?
I'm going to say no, because it was really disheartening to do a lot of damage to those forts and keeps and just have it be nullified by, a couple of call mules. So I think this one talent's days are numbered.
I'd like to know why Abathur is calling mules down anyways. I feel like that's probably going to be going the way of the dodo fairly soon.
It'll stay, and Abathur will become the most hotly contested character to play on Sky Temple.
Sure. Okay, LiQuid, guess what time it is, sir? It's time for your eSports Corner.
Hey, yo, how you doing? It's time for LiQuid's eSports Corner. That's right. You're gonna want to stick around for this.
Best $5 I ever paid for a voiceover. Take it away, LiQuid.
I love that. I love that thing so much. All right, so I'm gonna keep it kind of short today because we have a lot of stuff we can talk about today. But let's just start with some results and some things that you should have watched last weekend if you didn't watch HGC all weekend. Over in Europe, Fnatic versus Dignitas was exactly what I was hoping it would be when I said that was the game to watch last week. Oh my God, it was awesome. It definitely went 5 games. And if you're only going to watch one game, I agree with Blizzard. Check out game number 4. Watch the whole series if you can, but definitely check out game number 4. And we had 2 Crucible winners over in Europe that won the Crucible, got into HGC, did not do too well in part 1 of phase 2. Came out super strong this weekend. Zealots winning 2 games and TGG winning 1 game against clearly higher rated opponents. So that was like, that made me happy. Those were the 2. So I've only given cheers to 3 teams in HGC Europe: Zealots, TGG, and Fnatic. And TGG and Zealots, like they killed it this weekend. I was really happy with them. Over in NA, Roll20 was like, yeah, we know we didn't look that great, but check this out. And they just spanked Team Freedom and Tempo Storm, which was really fun to watch. That also made me happy. Anytime Glaurung wins, I was happy. And if you haven't watched those games and you love Garrosh, holy crap, watch those games. Like, by game 4 of Roll20, I was screaming at the TV, like, why are you guys letting Justin have Garrosh? Like, what are you doing? Why are you doing? Because he would just be like, all right, you guys gave it to me. Check this out. Flip, and that dude's dead. And they'd be like running along, flip, and another one's dead. And not only that, but man, I'm totally going blank on what it's called, but the friendly fire one where you can throw people, he's throwing Greymane forward, Greymane's getting a kill and then escaping. It was like, oh my God, like check out Roll20 and Garrosh. Holy crap, it was awesome. And then to cap off a weird weekend, LagForce actually won 2 games this weekend. And like LagForce x Naventic played like crap, like all the way, they barely got out of the Crucible. They went into phase 2 part 1. They played horrible. And then this weekend they're like, hey, you know what? We're not with Naventic anymore. Check this out. And they rolled 2 teams. So I don't know what's going on, but it was an entertaining weekend of HGC. Korea was like, there was nothing really special in Korea. That's why I didn't mention it. Korea was all, the teams you expected to win would win. And then China had a lot of draws on Monday and Tuesday. They played 8 matches, 6 of which were draws, like 1-1 draws, which was kind of crazy too. Even Tetra and Kendrick were talking about that. Like it was not normal for China. So that was the weekend review. And then I have 4 games you should definitely watch this weekend. Friday at 5 p.m. we get Gale Force Esports versus Tempo Storm. Gale Force sitting on top of the standings in NA. That should be a great game if Tempo Storm is on form. I know Fury was having some issues with the Houston rain and such, so I'm hoping he's okay and they're going to be able to play. And then Saturday at 7 o'clock, we have a great Korean game, 7 a.m. Eastern. That is Tempest versus MVP Black. That one should be awesome. And then we also have Zealots versus Team Expert at noon Eastern. We can see if Zealots can keep on the train of we're going to keep winning, even though you guys didn't think we could. And then Sunday at noon, Tricked Esports, which was actually doing really well in Phase 2 Part 1, is taking on Fnatic, who is arguably the best team in the world right now. That should also still be a great game. So 4 quality matchups to watch this weekend. And then, of course, if Twitch ever fixes itself, Heroes Hype Tempo Storm Series 3 kicks off tonight over at twitch.tv/Heroes Hype. Great amateur series. And we're going to have 2 of the top 4 Open Division teams in Imported Support and Flame is Lame facing each other at some point in that tournament. So, yeah, lots of stuff going on. Good stuff, though.
So I'm very curious, Jeff and Kristen, if you guys have any team that you follow, any favorite team in HGC. Jeff, are you an HGC follower? What team do you bandwagon for? Or not bandwagon. What's that called? What am I trying to think of here?
Cheer for?
Cheer for. Let's just go with that.
Is the right thing. I love watching Heroes Esports. I really do. I just like watching the games all together. I don't have a team. I was a Cloud9 fan back in the day, back in the first iteration of, the world tournament stage for Heroes of the Storm. I really rooted for Cloud9 all the way through. And then when they disbanded, I just am a fair weather fan. I kind of fly around and see whoever I like, and then whatever tournament's going a certain way, I latch onto a team and see how far they can go. I like Tempo Storm a lot, but I pull for NA. I pull for those underdogs in most cases.
I feel like we're on the same wavelength a little bit, Jeff, too, because the day that Cloud9 disbanded was a sad day. It took me a solid year to decide which team I wanted to root for, and I think it might have been Dunk Train's Beard and then them picking Murky in the final, or maybe it was the semifinals, but during BlizzCon, I was like, this is my team. And then they win the cup. And then what happens? Like 2-3 months later, they disband. It was a very sad day.
It was way more no. So they went to China because they won BlizzCon. They went to China and they could not win a game in China to save their lives. So here they are. They stomp BlizzCon. They're like, we're the best in the world. They go to China. They got absolutely destroyed. And they struggled the whole time in China. They were bickering with each other. There were a lot of personality conflicts while they were in China. That team broke apart in China, and as soon as they came back to the U.S., that was that. There was a story behind that, man.
I feel like esports is a good opportunity for some reality television.
Yes, that would be awesome. Oh my god.
Yeah, then they can show the fans like me. I'm like, I just bought this Cloud9 T-shirt. I just bought this Cloud9 chair. That was $300. I really didn't. No, I didn't buy the chair. I was about to. But...
How about you, Kristen? Do you have any specific team that you cheer for?
It was the same story. Cloud9 was my first love, and now I feel like if I start investing in any other team, they'll break apart, and I'll be left without a team again. However, I do like Fan. He's probably my favorite player at the moment. He's great to watch. He's always very mature when he's interviewed and everything. So I'm rooting for him more so than any team.
And he did a great job casting HGC that one time, too, on the panel. That was pretty awesome of him, too. I wasn't sure how that was going to go, but he exceeded my expectations.
He warmed up nicely after he had, I think it was the 3rd game he started to come out of his shell a little bit more. Yeah. But that was awesome. He's also, so I have to, because Kristen is like, we're on the same page here. Fan is the reason that I followed Bob Ross Fan Club. And then I was like, this is awesome. Like, these guys can't do any wrong. And then that whole then I got introduced to Kenma, and I was like, okay, this is not so great. But yes, I've followed Fan the whole way, and that's actually one of the reasons why I like GFE. Fan and Udall are my boys. I love watching them play.
So I've got a plan, guys. I'm going to pen a letter to Dunk Train and say it's time to get the band back together. I know I got at least 5 signatures on that, right? I can count on all of you. And we'll get them back in there for maybe BlizzCon 2018. Return of the Dunk.
One of those show matches that's heavily advertised. They show up, but everyone's 10 years older. Yeah. Some of them have really hit the booze hard. You know what I mean? It's a mess. It really shouldn't have happened.
Oh, that would be great.
But I'll love it nevertheless. So, KT, the new KT, he has hit the PTR and he's live now. So I'm interested to see what everyone thinks of him. But before we do that, I'm just going to quickly go over his abilities, his kit, just really quickly, because a lot of people have probably heard it either last show or have had time to check it on their own. But he is an interesting character. He is the Archlich of Naxxramas. I know him from Warcraft 3. Most of you probably know him from WoW. And a lot of you might know him even from Hearthstone, too. A very annoying card to deal with. And a great little, I think the first, not expansion, but little thing they had there. And that was pretty amazing, too. It introduced me to the Sludge Belcher as well as many other cards in Hearthstone. And our Hearthstone, ironically enough, is what got me back into Blizzard gaming. And it was my gateway drug into Heroes of the Storm, and Kel Thuzad is partly to blame for that. So Kel Thuzad, the way that he works, he's got 3 abilities. Death and Decay on his Q. After half a second, he launches an orb that explodes upon hitting an enemy, dealing 150 damage to enemies in the area. The explosion leaves behind a pool of decay that lasts about 2 seconds, dealing damage to those enemies. On his W, he's got Frost Nova. He creates a Nova that explodes after 1 second, fairly similar in size to a Malfurion Root, dealing damage to enemies inside and slowing by 35% for 2.5 seconds. Enemies in the center of the root, very similar to like when Brightwing pops off one of her Qs, there's a little center indicator there. If you land in that, you get rooted for 1 second as well. And on his E, maybe one of his coolest abilities is called Chains of Kel Thuzad. This is on a 12-second cooldown. He launches a chain, and it deals damage to the enemy, but that's not the cool thing. It deals damage to the enemy or structure, and it latches onto that structure. And then for 4 seconds after that, you can recast it in any direction from that structure or enemy that you hit, and it'll actually shoot off in another direction. And if it catches an enemy, it'll pull them together or pull them towards the structure and do like a mini stun. It's hard to pull off. I've been trying to do it with very limited success in the PTR, but I'm sure a lot of higher skill cap players will be able to pull that off pretty elegantly. And to cap it all off, he's got a trait called Master of the Cold Dark. This is a questing trait that he gets straight out of the gate. He gains 1 blight every time a hero is rooted by Frost Nova or hit by Chains of Kel Thuzad. After gaining 15 blight, the cooldowns of all his basic abilities are reduced by 2 seconds. And after getting 30 blight, he gained 75 freaking spell power, becoming next to unstoppable. And then he's got 2 heroics, Frost Blast, which I like to call Frost Pyroblast. He launches a meteor of ice at an enemy hero. This thing looms at you very slowly, this impending kind of doom. Doesn't do quite as much damage as Pyroblast, but it does a little bit, and it also does a big area of effect root to any enemies caught in the area, and they're rooted for 1.5 seconds. Also, he's got Shadow Fissure as his other heroic. This is where he creates a fissure anywhere on the battleground that explodes after 1.5 seconds, dealing massive damage to enemies in the area. It's a long delay, but it's kind of like a Chromie Sandblast, but from below instead of from above. And it's global, too. So if you're looking for an interrupt, it's on a 15-second cooldown. This will be useful in something like Towers of Doom, I'd imagine. So, Kristen, have you had a chance to dust off some KT?
I have, and he doesn't feel dusty. The hard part I had was that I've been in auto attack assassin mindset for a while now. So I take him in for my first game, and I'm dying left and right because this guy, his health pool is very, very tiny, and his auto attacks aren't doing anything. So once I finally make the switch over that he's a mage, so he is rightfully ability damage, and I start spamming the abilities, I see a lot more success. My absolute favorite though was taking Shadow Fissure, and then at level 20 taking the increase to that, where if you hit a hero with it, it's an automatic reset. So if you're on a map where the enemy team is going to get stunned or stuck in small places for long enough to be hit by this, you could just wreck your way across the map, and it's global, so you can hide in a bush and still do damage.
I'm worried about playing against you on KT post 20 because I feel like I'll be stuck getting fissured nonstop. Jeff, have you had a chance to touch on KT at all?
Yeah, I had a huge chance to touch on the queues, the waiting to play KT. There was a whole lot of waiting to play KT and waiting. But when I finally got in, I did have a realization that I'm very bad at playing KT. So it was very interesting to get in there and, like Kristen said, I'm of the same mindset where I'm in there just trying to, do everything that I can in the thick of the fight. You can't really be in the thick of the fight with him. And Shadowfisher, like you said at the beginning of this description, its delay is really long, and it takes a lot of practice to get used to something like that. So when I'm in the game playing, after waiting 900 seconds to play, I just want to pwn noobs, but I'm the one getting pwned.
And the problem with the PTR is there's no MMR, so you might have master level players on the other side pwning you with a superior KT play, which is what happened when I was popping in there. I did not do very well as KT. Seems to be very high skill cap, very combo-y based, and it's hard to get all those timings and everything down. I am scared to see what the pros are going to be doing with this guy. LiQuiuD, I know you're a big guy with the pros. What do you think they're going to be doing when they get their hands on KT in a few weeks?
Oh my god. I'm sure we'll talk about it later tonight, especially if Bacon's on trolling HCC, but Rich with KT is a scary, scary thing, man. The potential. So first, let me preface this by saying I think they're going to make some tweaks because I think he does a crazy amount of damage right now. But yeah, he in the hands of a pro, a really gifted mechanical player, forget it. He's if there was a step above S tier, that's where he would sit right now.
So Mystic, as probably the resident best player on the screen right now, what are you finding him a lot easier to play than the rest of us?
Maybe just a little bit, but yeah, he's very squishy. If you make one misstep, then you're sent all the way back to the Hall of Storms, which you can be like, all right, now I can maybe get a Shadow Fissure from here, but other than that, yeah, if you going in super close, you kind of have to go in close-ish because his spells aren't super long range, but yeah, he's fairly hard to play.
Well, if he dies and he's got his phylactery all charged up, he won't be spending too much time waiting for that respawn. Is the phylactery kind of the go-to talent we're seeing on that talent tier there, Mystic?
I think for now, yeah, until people find out another strategy for it, because not only does it give you a quote-unquote free revive, but it also gives you that 10% spell vamp on all of your skills.
Which makes it an interesting decision that you've got to make when you die, too. Is it worth losing that 10% and having to recharge the phylactery all up again, or do you save it for later? I took phylactery as a talent, and I had problems activating it because I was like, I don't want to start all over again. I felt like I didn't get the advantage of the respawn timer on it.
I have to complain for a second. That is a bad thing to be upset about. Because Diablo players across the world would love to have that button in Dark Souls. So I don't want to hear it. Nope.
The other fun talent that I love playing around with was Glacial Spike, and I guess we mentioned it last week on the show too. But one of it's an activatable ability too, where you can get this little shot of a little mini glacier pop up out of the ground, 6 round for 4 seconds, and possibly the coolest thing is you can use your chains of Kel Thuzad on it to kind of make an extra target if you don't have one. What do you guys think of Glacial Spike? Was everyone else choosing it too and trying to have fun, maybe unsuccessfully like myself?
Chris, here's the thing. I can't hit the chains on a normal thing. I don't need any more chain targets. So no, I can take Glacial Spike.
I'm just happy it doesn't move like most of the other targets.
So I was talking to a friend of Mystic and I, Super Dave, about this last week, and he pointed out that he spent an hour in try mode, and he was landing chains left and right, no problem. They were working all the time, easy to do. And then he went into AI, and it didn't work. And he went into Quick Match, and it didn't work. And he could not land his chains. And I'm like, huh, that's weird. And so I did the same thing. I tried him in try mode first just to kind of get a feel for the kit, and then went into an AI game. And I could not land a single chain in that AI game to save my life. It was so bad. And then I just was like, you know what? I really just want to play Leoric anyway. I'm going to go ahead and switch back.
Did anyone else go into try mode and do a slash dance the second they got in there? Because that's the first thing that I did.
Yes.
Because for those of you that don't know, Mr. Bigglesworth, who I thought was just a fake, because I don't play WoW, I didn't know Mr. Bigglesworth was a thing. He wasn't in Warcraft 3. I thought it was just a meme coming up, like people doing like the kind of parallel to Austin Powers. I didn't realize Mr. Bigglesworth was actually in the game. And then the Slash dance comes out and you see him playing with his cat. I thought that was possibly the cutest and most amazing thing I've ever seen out of a dance in the game. Have you guys crafted any? I know you guys forge dances too. Have you come up with anything as cool as Blizzard has with Mr. Bigglesworth dancing in front of Kel Thuzad?
Yeah, we just talked about this in our last episode, and I think this is one of our shining dance moments here, where Kristen came up with, I believe it was Lucio. Oh, it wasn't a dance, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. It was a mount for Lucio, and what it was, this is before Lucio was a thing in the Nexus. It was crowd surfing, and he would have all of his fans. They would be carrying him up in the air as he crowd surfed, and the people that were in the front had to run all the way to the back and just keep pushing him through the Nexus, and that would just be their eternal torment. Would be Lucio's mount.
That's amazing. One of the other mounts, I mean, I think it was on your most recent episode for Scar, was talking about having like the mini mounts for like a swarm of Zerg too. As soon as you said that, I was like, that's the best one. That's the best one. Pick that one of the three. And I think you guys both said that was a pretty amazing mount variant too. And like I said, and I said off the top of the show, some of the stuff you guys come up with is just liquid gold. And I really hope Blizzard takes some cues from some of the mounts that you guys have come up with, amongst other things too. Okay, so we also had a PTR patch that went live, went live just recently, along with Kel Thuzad. And there was a few other things other than Kel Thuzad that kind of came out of that. Chromie, Jaina, Lieutenant Morales, and Leoric got pretty sizable reworks. Now, we're going to defer our in-depth discussion about them until next week when we have a little bit more playtime with them. And by that time, they should be live in the Nexus as well, not just on the PTR. But in the meantime, we're just going to touch on them a little bit briefly here. And I did want to point out there was a great article, and we often point out Math of the Storm because they have some great articles over at Heroes Hearth that kind of gets into the nitty-gritty of the details of how, like, you know, the math works out from like old Morales to new Morales and old Chromie to new Chromie. So we've got a link for that in the show notes. If you're the kind of person who wants to check that kind of thing out and see what the nitty-gritty details are and how they shape up from live to the PTR, definitely check out that article there. So let's start with these 4 reworked heroes, shall we? And we'll start with Chromie. I was watching, I think Oddish was on Twitch, and she was going crazy with how excited she was about Chromie and the new Chromie in here. And that's where I got most of my new insight on the new Chromie build. So I'll go over it quickly, and I'll try and get everyone's insights on what everyone thinks. So Chromie, the Sandblast, basically scales slower than it used to. Most things scale in this game at about 4% per level. Sandblast only scales at 2%. Well, Daz, why does it only scale 2%? That's because it's got a damage stacking questing talent built in. The more heroes you hit with your Q, the more damage gets added to your Q ability. And after hitting 80 heroes, really cool here, you get a free Past and Future Me Sand Echo reward. That was a talent that you used to take, I think, at level 20, but now it'll be baked into her kit once you hit 80 heroes, which if you're like me, might be a difficult quest talent to complete, but still you get a little echo of yourself that will shoot off a sandblast for you. And this synergizes really coolly with our level 11 talent that you can take called Here and There. You can actually swap places with your sand echo. This is an active ability and it's on a 30-second cooldown. And Oddish was saying that this persists after hearthing. So you can hearth back and you can swap with your sand echo and get right back into the fight almost instantaneously too, which I thought was kind of a cool little interaction. Level 2 talent, Timely Surprise, is something new as well. Sandblast and Dragon's Breath cooldowns are reset anytime a sand trap is triggered. Now this synergizes extraordinarily well with her level 20 talent, where you can get 3 charges of your time trap. And if you're like me when you're playing Chromie, someone hits that time trap and you're like, oh, everything's on cooldown. Well, guess what? If you take this talent, it no longer will be on cooldown. You'll be able to hit those. Last couple things here. Level 18 talent, Stuck in a Loop. This is another one too for those Chromie players like me who might not be able to hit that temporal loop timing that great once the hero teleports back to the spot that you cast them on. If you miss them the first time, they'll actually teleport back a second time. You get to have a do-over. So I think that's a pretty cool little bit. Math of the Storm, their little TLDR, is combo and questing potential will make good Chromies better, but bad Chromies worse. So what do you guys all think about Chromie, our little bronze dragon flight character in the game? Let's start with Kristen. Kristen, do you like Chromie?
I do very much like Chromie. She's a lot of fun, but I've never really mastered her just because her flavor doesn't really fit. Her character fits what I like, but not the flavor. However, I do want to point out this level 18 talent is incredible as a healer with cleanse, because now you get more practice time to cleanse. You know how many times I've missed saving somebody from a loop and you only get that one bit of practice? Now you get it 2 times.
Well, the only problem, I guess, too, is if you cleanse them the first time, I wonder if they'll pop back the second time after the cleanse is expired. That'll be a tough decision, I think, to make on my part, because I play healer a lot, too. I didn't even consider that before, but now I've got to do some thinking to think what the optimal strategy is for my cleanses. Jeff, do you play a lot of Chromie?
I don't, but I play against a lot of Chromie. I have seen Chromie more in the last 2 weeks than, all over the place Chromie, and I'm terrified of Timely Surprise. Let's be real. That's how I die a lot in the game is, you get stuck and then you just might as well just, go grab a drink of water or something because you're not coming back when you get stuck in that. And especially with this level 2 talent tier, Timely Surprise, where it's already going to be reset every time this happens. Insane.
Miss, do you think this was a warranted rework to Chromie, or do you think she was fine as she was?
I don't know. I think that this puts a little bit more skill cap on her sandblast, but all these other talents look like they just add to Chromie's kit, and I, for one, really didn't like Chromie because she just one-shots you from off the screen. So, yeah, I don't know. While I think these are very cool changes, and for Chromie players, they must be oh man, this is amazing. But for me, who plays against Chromie a lot, I'm just I don't know if I want to give her any more tools to kill me.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than having pretty much your whole team chunked down by Chromie, and you can't even figure out where she's chunking you down from. Okay, so go ahead, LiQuid. Yeah, I was just kidding there. Of course, we're obviously going to go to LiQuid too, our resident tank player.
No. Actually, I have a more general comment about both Jaina and Chromie getting buffed for the most part. I think this is just in relation to KT's going to come in strong. The other 2 mages that were less, let's say less niche, like Kel Thuzad, you just take him whenever there's a heavy melee comp. So I think that's why you see these 2 being buffed the way that they are and being reworked a little. It's kind of like the patch of the mages, if you will.
Yeah. Are we entering the day of the mage? Is that what we're seeing here?
I think it'll still be Chromie, right? And the reason that, Jeff, you're seeing more of it is if you look at all the HGC games since Midseason Brawl, Chromie is appearing a whole lot more. And people are like, oh, Chromie's viable? I'm going to take Chromie now. And there you go.
We also had a rework to Jaina as well. Some minor changes to her and some major ones as well. Most notably, though, she's got an Ice Blot talent that's baked in as a baseline questing talent reward. Out of the gate, if she deals 15,000 damage to chilled enemy heroes, she gains Ice Block. So you no longer have to talent into that, which I thought is an interesting change there because it was usually competing with other talents on that tier. Level 7 got a couple changes too. Frostbitten, that's the talent that increased damage to chilled targets, is now baked into a level 1 globe questing talent as the reward that you get from that level 1 talent instead of extra mana. Level 7 in its place got a new talent called Ice Fury Wand. Basic attacks against chilled targets deal 75% bonus damage, reduce the cooldown of Blizzard by 1 second. Works on minions and mercenaries too. And if you do this, you can actually get your Blizzard down to a 7-second cooldown. Kristen, you said you like auto attack heroes. Does this mean that you're going to be doing auto attack Jaina build?
I think it very well might. But of course, that's a big might because Jaina as a character kind of turns me off to playing that hero. Very much like Lucio. It's not that they're bad heroes. She has a great new skin. I've always really liked her as a mage. But I just can't play Jaina. But I'm also more of a Sylvanas fan, so maybe that's it.
Is this a Horde versus the Alliance thing? Is that what I'm sensing?
Deep down, probably.
Yeah, I can hear you there. Again, I'm not super invested into WoW, so I don't have any of those, predispositions to loving or hating characters. And I like Jaina, and I like the fact that she's got these talents where you can actually get some auto attack damage in. And I did notice too that Kel Thuzad has got something similar. Li Ming's got something similar. They're not necessarily taking a lot, but they are giving you little talents that you can get into here to make those mages do a little bit more damage when they do their auto attacks, which I think is pretty cool. Trying to weave those auto attacks in between your very long cooldowns on some of your abilities sometimes. Level 20 also got a couple changes too. We got Ice Blink. She's got Bolt of the Storm back. Basically, it's a Bolt of the Storm variant. Chills enemies nearby when it's like in the impacted zone, I guess, when she uses it. I can't imagine she's going to be using it as an engage. Mystic, would you ever use Ice Blink as an engage, or are you going to stick to this as an escape for Jaina if you ever take it?
I'm trying to think of like any way I could use this as an engage. If you were to use it as an engage, no, I don't think so, because if you were to try to, it would just be Ice Blink into just Blizzard around you, but probably not. So yeah, you'd only use it as an escape.
Yeah, it's tough to think of any sort of scenario when Jaina would want to get into the thick of things. Usually as Jaina, I'm trying to stay out of the thick of things as much as possible, and that kind of runs counter to that. We also got Deep Chill moved from level 1 to level 20. Talk about a little bit of an early game to a late game change there. This got a bit of a change too. You can stack the slow of the trait of her basic trait a second time, giving up to a 40% slow to chilled targets. That's a lot of slow. I'm a little bit scared of this. I know Jeff was saying he's a little scared of Chromie from time to time. Those slow and sands can be slow. Well, I can think about the same, kind of effect here from this Deep Chill at 20. Are you scared of Jaina there at all, Jeff?
Yeah, I'm scared of all of them, to be honest. I mean, any of the heroes that are put into the right hands, I mean, Blizzard has done a really good job of balancing it. And even from the numbers that we see from hot slogs, which, as we know, cannot be the most solid numbers always because they're not coming directly from Blizzard. But the numbers that we see from hot slogs, I mean, everybody's hovering around 50%. They're really well-balanced heroes for the most part. So Jaina in the right hands can do some serious damage. The one thing I am disappointed about the Dreadlord Jaina skin is that they didn't give overlays to the talents, the little icons for the talents. I wanted that. I wanted the little talent choices to look like Dreadlord talents.
Definitely. That'd be so cool if they ended up doing that. Again, hopefully Blizzard will be listening, and hopefully they'll be taking cues from Jeff to change those down the road. So Lieutenant Morales also got some changes we mentioned before, and she got some big ones here. She doesn't have mana anymore, guys. How strange is that? She lost her mana. She's now got energy, very similar to LiQuid's second love, Valera. She also has couples therapy, which is where she heals herself when healing others, baked in as a trait. I always remember being scared as Morales being in the middle of the fight there because you can never heal yourself. You always could heal others, but now you don't have to worry about that as much. However, you do have to worry about management of her energy a little bit more because her energy on the PTR takes about 16 seconds to run dry. On live server currently, it takes about 40 seconds at level 1 and 68 seconds at level 20 to run dry. So you're running out of mana, or I guess energy in this case, pretty quickly. On the flip side, she does take about 20 seconds to recharge, which in a team fight is a century. And however, in live, pretty much you're out of mana. You got to go back to the core. So I guess that's a little bit of a change there on the PTR. You can kind of hover around and maybe take it for the next engage without having to worry about hearthing. So also she got an undocumented nerf to her healing beam output, and this was noted by Math of the Storm. It actually does about 6% less healing than before, which I thought was kind of interesting. And also you might be saying, okay, 16 seconds to run dry. She's got to wait a few seconds before she can start recharging. It takes 20 seconds to recharge all of her energy again. Well, she can actually talent into gaining energy from various sources, from auto-attacking heroes, throwing out awesome grenades, or doing good safeguards too. I'm looking at Morales here, and I see it as a nerf, but I mean, I don't know yet because I haven't had any playtime with her. But this kind of worries me as a healer, what I can potentially do with Lieutenant Morales down the road. Kristen, it sounds like you play some healers. Do you play Lieutenant Morales at all?
I've played her a little bit, and when I have, it's been kind of boring in a sense, right? Because you just heal the one target that you need to live. So this really sounds like she is going to become a very, very interesting and active healer. Kind of like in the sense where Vala runs out of mana very, very quickly if you're not sure where and when to use the abilities to make the most effect on the battlefield. So that's what it kind of sounds like, and hopefully that's how it's going to kind of enact itself once released live.
Yeah, one of the really cool things is her other two abilities, the grenade and her safeguard, no longer cost any mana. They're basically just on cooldown. So if you run out of mana as Morales, you don't have to sit there like a dead fish. You can actually do stuff still. So I guess even if you're not healing, you can still throw out safeguards. You can still throw around grenades like they're going out of style, even though you've got to wait for a while for that healing beam to recharge. But I mean, while it's recharging, you can be doing some stuff still and maybe getting some auto attacks out too in between your cooldowns. So, Mystic, do you think this is a nerf or do you think this is a buff to Morales? Like I said, I'm having a problem deciding. What do you think the consensus is on Morales?
I think it's a nerf to Morales because it's a buff to her sustainability, right? So since she uses energy now and all of her other spells that aren't healing beam don't cost any mana, so they had to reduce her damage or her healing / damage output, I guess. I guess not really her damage, just her healing output, because she has that sustain. So it's kind of a quickly regenerating but more flimsy version of Morales. Not as strong, but able to regenerate a lot quicker.
So even if she isn't as strong, Jeff, do you think she's going to be more fun like Kristen thinks here?
Absolutely. Yeah, Morales is my main squeeze. I play Morales all the time. And as Kristen knows, I have trouble remembering to auto attack, or I'm saving my grenade, I'm saving my safeguard so that I don't waste mana because I'm trying to keep everybody alive. That's my main goal. So now knowing that these things don't cost mana and I can focus on, getting that sick grenade kill or whatever it is while I'm healing, it'll be a completely different change of play style. So it will be more fun, in my opinion.
How about you, LiQuiuD? As a tank, do you think having Morales behind you is going to be as useful as it has been in the past?
I actually don't like playing with a Morales on my team.
Oh, you and Jeff are going to have to fight it out, I guess.
I mean, it just is the way. I feel like she has great places to be. I just don't. It's not for me. I don't think this is necessarily a nerf. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this one. It's different. I wish Valeera played that way. I would love to only have my Q use energy. That would be great. Yes, please sign me up. I don't know. We'll see. She's like, Morales is definitely the definition of a heal bot, so they had to do something to make it so that it wasn't just you're a heal bot.
Yep. So our homework then, LiQuiuD, is going to be to play as and with Morales over the next week and see what she feels like and what our true assessment is of her after getting a little bit more playtime on her. That being said, your boy Leoric got a change too. Did you want to take us through the changes to Leoric here, LiQuiuD?
No, go ahead, because you do that so much smoother than I do. Go ahead.
Sure thing. Well, thanks. So Leoric got some big changes. And again, we're going to go into them in detail next week. I know LiQuiuD's going to have a lot to say, and he's probably bursting at the seams right now with a lot that he wants to say even today. So Leoric had a lot of changes. He had his basic attack damage reduced. And interestingly enough, Leoric has a 3-hit attack animation. The first 2 basic attacks in them, like, how does it work? Does he go like hit, swing or something, LiQuiuD? You know his attack animation better than I do.
It's like a right-handed hit, a left-handed hit, and then a womp swing.
Okay, so the right-handed hit and left-handed hit will cleave. So you'll actually do damage to enemies in the area. And the womp that LiQuiuD just talked about is going to do 100% extra bonus damage, and that's because of the womp sound effect with it. Except it won't be cleaving. So you got a little interesting little weaving in of your auto attacks doing different kinds of damage, which is definitely a first that I've seen, at least since I started playing Heroes. And I think it's an interesting mechanic to put in the game. Skeletal Swing has also changed quite a bit too. It's gone from an 8 to a 14-second cooldown. Talk about a long change in the cooldown. And the mana and the damage have also been increased. There's also been bonus damage to non-heroes has been taken away. However, that being said, if you hit a hero, you get a 50% cooldown reduction, so it goes from 14 seconds to 7 seconds, so it's actually less time. And you get your mana refunded too, so it actually costs 0 mana instead of whatever mana it costs if you miss everything. Drain Hope also has lower healing and damage based out of the gate, which kind of disappoints me because I usually went just everything Drain Hope all the way whenever I played Leoric. Entomb got its cooldown increased. March of the Black King got its cooldown decreased, just because I guess we've been seeing a lot of Entombs, not very many March of the Black Kings. And March of the Black King also had damage and healing increased. So LiQuiuD, I know that you've got at least a few things to say on our man Leoric from Diablo. What do you think of the new Leoric?
He is so much fun. Okay, so first of all, the cleave changes were awesome. Especially when you consider what they did to Skeletal Swing. That's just like a balance, right? Because they want to say, okay, you no longer need Skeletal Swing to clear the wave. You can cleave the wave down with your, 2 sets of your three basic attacks, right? Which is good because that's about how it seems to work on PTR right now. So now you can focus on just using it on heroes, which is great because now you can do more team fight damage than you were before. And then the really cool thing is that even though Drain Hope has lower healing and damage, there's actually been a build that has been used quite frequently in HGC where you get bonuses if you use your Wraith Walk to move between lanes. So this is actually enabling you to play more of a Zool type. I can solo 2 lanes while you 4-man push the third, which is really cool. And they really needed to do something about March of the Black King. It was way too undervalued for what you would get out of Entomb. So I like those changes too. I actually prefer March of the Black King, and now that it's more viable, like I'm super happy playing Leoric. Still not solo tank worthy, but definitely not quite the Haka level, but getting there.
So Jeff, do you think that KT is going to be disappointed that another skeleton got some love in this patch as well?
I'm sure there will be some really interesting interactions, although KT's not getting the, and when I say KT, obviously the one that's incoming, is not getting the same hype from some of these streamers as Leoric is. I mean, I watched Chew stream playing Leoric, and he was going nuts. He did a March of the Black King straight in, wiped all 4 heroes, and he's like, yep. Leoric's back, boys! Leoric's back! And I'm like, wow,
it's so awesome.
This much.
So awesome.
Yeah, and it's always so infectious watching streamers do all these crazy things, and you're like, I'm gonna do that too, I'm gonna do that too. And then you get in and it just feels, I mean, it's still fun, but a little lackluster sometimes once, we realize our mechanics aren't quite up to par of, your Chew-8s and Riches of the world.
Dear Chew, you said he's back, but I still can't seem to find him.
Yes, I don't understand how this works. How about you, Kristen? Do you play a lot of Leoric?
I played him when he came out quite a bit, and I think it's really cool that this change to March of the Black King has come down right after Garrosh, right? Because what if he throws you back? You just walk your way out and probably take at least one person with you.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. And you know what? I've been thrown by plenty of Garroshes over the past few weeks, so maybe I should get on the Leoric train so I can either march back out of that or Spooky Ghost through it to get away. Another cool ability, speaking of Spooky Ghosts, one of his talents that he can talent into too, he can Spooky Ghost through people to reduce their, I think, ability damage by 50% for 4 seconds. Is that right, LiQuiuD?
It's so much fun. Oh my god, there are so much you can do with him now.
Okay, I'm gonna have to
so much fun.
I'm gonna have to go into the PTR and try Spooky Ghost build because I think that's gonna be the newest hotness, at least for me. It might not even, it might not win me a lot of games, but it'll be fun.
There's something interesting that I found out about that talent. Is that if you walk through the same person multiple times, it actually refreshes the duration.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, insane, which means you can have 50% reduced damage on someone for more than 4 seconds.
So just Spooky Ghost KT as he's got a Pyroblast incoming on someone, right? To like reduce that. Yeah, I can see a lot of cool interactions there and a lot of utility for that. So I guess Leoric is back. That's what Chew tells us.
Just for funsies, I came out here and I was looking at Leoric builds out on Heroes Hearth, and there's like 6 different builds right now with different ways you can build them, and like a laning auto attacker. The Wraith Walker is the one I actually like because then you can like really mess with people with that build. There's just so much you can do now with Leoric. It's awesome.
LiQuiuD's like a kid in a candy store this week, heading to the PTR playing Leoric. We expect a full breakdown of Leoric from you next week, LiQuiuD. We want to hear all the nitty-gritty details about the different builds and everything you come up with. But now this is the part of the show I've been like shaking, waiting to get to this part, because this is the part that I've been dying for months to get to. And we're going to be doing a bit of a Flash Forge segment. Kristen and Jeff, as we mentioned off the top of the show, hosts of the Heroes Forge podcast, get to do this on a weekly basis. They get to forge heroes that aren't in the Nexus. They bring them in, they imagine their kits, their mounts, their dances even. And we get to do that a little bit here today. Now we're going to be doing a bit of a different flavor. We're going to be taking turns going through. Each person on the show today is going to pick one of the Blizzard universes, and I'm going to surprise them with a character. We're going to do a bit of an improv here, and we're each going to take a shot at crafting an ultimate for the hero that I bequeath upon that person. And I think I told Kristen and Jeff, and we talked about it on the show too, if you watch the show maybe like 20 episodes back or so, we did a debate. It's a regular segment that we do. We do a HOTS debate, and typically the loser of the debate has to do some sort of, I'm going to say quote unquote punishment. I ended up losing this debate, and it was a lot of fun. And what we did as the punishment that week was we had to craft or forge our opponent from the debate on the next show. And I got the honor of forging LiQuiuD, and that got me caught on the forging bug, guys. And ever since that, I was like, we need to get Jeff and Kristen on the show. We need to get Jeff and Kristen on the show. And here it is. I'm so excited. So guys, without further ado, let's forge.
Let's forge.
Okay, I've been waiting to press that button for a while now, guys. Okay.
Months.
Yes, months. And it was just everything, all the hype was built up to be. So, Kristen, would you like to start off by choosing a Blizzard universe? I will surprise you with a hero. I'll give you a little bit of the backstory in case anyone needs to get up to speed on who that hero is or that character is. And then we'll figure out what your ultimate is, and we'll discuss accordingly. Kristen, which universe would you like to pull from?
I will take Diablo for 200.
Diablo for 200. You've got the daily double.
Ding, ding, ding.
Okay, so our Diablo hero for you, Kristen, is Leah. Leah, I'll just give her a little bit of background. She's the daughter of Aiden the Dark Wanderer and Adria the Powerful Witch. She was raised by her adoptive uncle Deckard Cain from the age of 8, as her mother disappeared shortly after giving birth in Chaldeum. And her father was supposedly slain while defending Tristram from Diablo. Leah, while interested in her uncle's works, did not share his obsession with demons, secretly believing that his prophecies about the end of times were just stories. Leah also has a secret unknown power within her that manifests violently when she is enraged. When she's reunited with her mother Adria, Leah learns to focus her power, even though it drains her immensely. Leah ultimately foils a plot of Asmodan to become the prime evil, and in doing so seals all 7 lords of hell within the Black Soul Stone. But in a twist of fate, her mother betrays Leah, revealing that she is in league with Leah's true father, Diablo, transferring the fused essence of the lords of hell into Leah, making her the new vessel for the primeval Diablo. So, Kristen, did I give you enough time reading that to think up an ultimate for Leah, the newest hero, which will soon be entering the Nexus?
I'm ready to go.
Take it away, Kristen.
All right, so Leah, we already have Diablo in the game. We already have Diablo 3 Diablo in the game. So as cool as it would be to have her transforming into Diablo Ultimate, it wouldn't still be Leah. So what if we go with the whole her absorbing way too much power? Maybe she has a trait where the damage you do to enemy heroes fills up this Black Soul Stone trait. And once it's finally active, that's when you can hit this heroic. And so you hit your heroic, Soulstone is full. It like comes out above you, channels into you, and she's lifted off the ground. Maybe she's shaking or something. There's the weird chains and crazy music going, and it explodes her. And so bits fly and they hit enemy heroes. Because also in this explosion, a hell portal has opened up. And so any enemy hero that has bits of Leah on them is now marked and targeted by these legions of hell demons that will be pouring forth from the portal.
Wow, I am impressed you came up with that in about 15 seconds, nevertheless. That is amazing. The visuals there are so accurately described. I've got exactly what you described playing over in my head, and I want Leah in the game so bad now.
How am I supposed to follow that? I mean, I'm like not creative at all. How am I supposed to follow that, Des?
Believe in yourself, man. You got this. Just channel the excitement. Like the coolest thing. Don't let game restraints and numbers hold you down. That's the biggest secret. Will it work? It doesn't matter. We're imagining things.
Oh, and it could be super OP. We don't care at all here, right? That's what the Blizzard balance people's jobs are, not ours. So yeah, I definitely wasn't expecting you to go that way with it. When I put Leah in there, I was like, oh, I think like, you know, someone's gonna take the Diablo transformation bit, and I was like, oh, you mentioned it. You even took the bait, and you said, nope, I'm not going with that. I'm changing it up. I'm gonna do something different, and I was very impressed. Awesome ultimate from Leah there. Okay, so who wants to go next? Jeff, I nominate you. Jeff, what universe would you like to draw from here today?
What are my options? Is Hearthstone an option?
Well, I've got a Warcraft hero who's in Hearthstone, so you want to go with that?
I'm going to go Overwatch.
Overwatch. After all that, was like, I was getting ready to copy and paste it to put it over, and then you just did a 180 on me. That's all right, though, because for you, Jeff, today, you're going to be crafting the ultimate for Winston. The Winston, as most of you know, let's start the bio from the beginning here as it's written. The Horizon Lunar Colony was established as a first step for humanity's renewed exploration of space. Among its residents was a group of genetically enhanced gorillas that were intended to test the effects of prolonged habitation in space. One gorilla, designated Specimen 28, displayed such rapid brain development from the gene therapy that he was taken under the wing of Dr. Harold Winston, who taught him science and inspired him with tales of human ingenuity. One day, Harold showed the ape Earth as it appeared from the moon. Harold told him not to see the world how it was, but how it could be. The young gorilla passed his days assisting with the scientists' experiments, watching the distant blue world outside his habitat window, dreaming of the endless possibilities that awaited him there. He enjoyed his life at Horizon and regarded the human scientists as his family and Dr. Winston as his father. And there was, I believe, an uprising of the gorillas. They took over the colony. He didn't feel in place there, so he as a refugee, went to Earth and joined Overwatch, where he could inspire to be just like his adoptive father, Dr. Winston. So, Jeff, what kind of ultimate would you foresee Winston having in the game?
All right, so if you're a fan of Overwatch and you've watched the animated shorts, we all know that Winston loves peanut butter and bananas, right? So this ultimate's going to incorporate both of those, and it's going to be an ultimate that's on a really, really short cooldown. So Winston is able to place, when this ultimate is activated, hidden traps on the battlefield that either are a banana or peanut butter. So if you step on one of the hidden traps that happens to be a banana, it will send you sliding forth twice the length of a Vala vault, and you can't stop the movement. It's going to slide you all the way, and then if you happen to hit a peanut butter hidden trap, that peanut butter trap is going to lock you down in place and you won't be able to move. So a great combo wombo for the Winston player here in this ultimate is you're able to place the banana, and so they slide straight into the peanut butter into the tower shots. Bada bing, bada boom. Now, the second ultimate for Winston could be called I Want to Hold Your Hand, because we all know that really great image. I mean, it was made as a statue for Chris Metzen when he left Blizzard, of him holding Winston's hand and looking out over planet Earth, and, you know, all of that story is in there. But this ultimate is a little bit more offensive than that. So when you activate this, it grabs the enemy hero by the hand, and Winston continues to spin in a circle, winding up, and then eventually launching you in the direction that you activate the ability again. So you're going to fly further than a Garrosh toss here, and you're in trouble.
Oh my gosh, you didn't just give us one, you gave us two. And not only that, the first one has my Mario Kart enthusiast just screaming here. Banana peels all over the map. That's exactly the kind of thing that I loved seeing in Mario Kart. That's exactly what I'd love to see at the Nexus as well. LiQuiuD, I know you play so many tanks. What do you think of playing Winston with these two ultimate choices? Which one would you pick?
I would definitely pick the second one almost 100% of the time.
Well, I guarantee I'd pick the first. I'd like to think that Blizzard will have it well balanced, so it'll be a 50-50% choice of either or there. Jeff, awesome crafting of Winston. And now I know LiQuiuD's shaking his head. He's like, how can I follow this up? I thought it would be a good idea to get the Forgers to go first, but maybe I should have made us go first.
Yeah,
because
dude.
now we're going to be outshined here. So, Mystic, do you want to give LiQuiuD a little bit of reprieve and go next here?
All right.
Okay, which universe would you like to pull from, Mystic?
Obviously, the StarCraft universe.
I had a funny feeling you'd be saying that because we all know how much you love StarCraft, and your character that you're going to be forging ultimates for is Rajagal. Did I say that correctly, Mystic?
Yeah.
Perfect, because now I can read the bio and know that I'm not mispronouncing it. Rajagal was the matriarch of the Dark Templar until the Brood War. She was one of the most powerful psychics in the galaxy, and she was renowned for her stoicism and calmness. Rajagal was a young member of the Rogue Tribes, a secret Protoss movement on Ire, which disdained the Kala, the innate Protoss-psionic bond. As a dissident, Rajagal and her rogues were captured by Conclave agents and held prisoner and later banished from Ire forever. In her exile, she became the leader of the Dark Templar, and during the StarCraft storyline, was one of the oldest living Protoss. After the Zerg rampaged across Ire, killing the majority of the Protoss, Zeratul and the remaining Protoss of Ire fled to the home of the Dark Templar and were reunited with Rajagal. So, Mystic, how would you craft Rajagal's ultimate? And I think this is going to be a difficult one because she seems very similar, I'd imagine, to how Zeratul would play in the Nexus too. So I'd like to see how you're going to differentiate her from, say, a Zeratul.
Okay, well, like Jeff here, I'm going to craft two ultimates. So the first one, like you said, is kind of similar to Zeratul. However, it's going to have much more control because she's, the matriarch of the Dark Templar. We all know Zeratul has the Void Prison, which is a huge circle AoE that Zeratul can put down, and it puts everybody in stasis. However, I'm going to put Rajagal's first heroic is a single target stasis, where she can actually select targets that she wishes to stasis. And this won't last as long, but it will be on a much shorter cooldown than Void Prison. So she can be like, oh, okay, the healer is, I don't want their healer in the battle at the moment, and I can just put them in this prismatic stasis for 1.5 to 2 seconds, and that'll just keep them out of the fight for a little while, and then just back out and do it again to someone else, maybe snipe someone off that's in twos even, put one of them in stasis, kill one of them, and get away. Now the second heroic I have is something that the Dark Templars do in StarCraft 2 co-op missions, actually. They have this ability where they can hit everybody in an area once. So she can choose a target area, and she'll actually go into the shadows and strike every target once in the target area. Like, go into the shadows and hit everybody in the area, including minions, including objectives, heroes, everybody, just for maybe not massive damage, but a medium amount of damage, so to keep it balanced a little bit.
We don't have to balance things here, Mystic. You can just say it's OP. That reminds me of Karazim's 7-sided strike, but just like jutting in and out, like hitting everything in an area. That sounds super cool. And I've got nightmares of Nubarak cocoons, but oh man, hearing that, having a stasis on a short cooldown like that, going up against a Rajagal would be very scary indeed. LiQuiuD, are you ready? I know
no.
Unlike the rest of us, I think you might have been dreading this moment the most.
Yes.
We will see how this goes. So which universe are you going to pick to craft from?
You know what? At this point, let's just do dealer's choice, man. I will let you pick all the way around, and we'll see if I can pull something off here.
Okay, I like the attitude, and just because I know how much you wanted to see this hero as the next one in the Nexus, I'm gonna give you Reinhardt from Overwatch.
All right.
So Reinhardt, over 30 years ago, Overwatch was founded to counter the threat of the robot uprising around the world. Reinhardt, a highly decorated German soldier, was inducted as part of the original Overwatch strike team that put an end to the Omnic crisis. After the conflict's resolution, Overwatch grew into a global institution, keeping the peace in a war-torn world. Reinhardt proved himself to be one of its most stalwart champions. Reinhardt's unique ethics and larger-than-life persona earned the admiration of his peers and superiors alike. Never afraid to speak his mind, he was Overwatch's most vocal supporter and, when necessary, its harshest critic, providing a constant reminder that Overwatch was meant to be a force for good. Though Overwatch was eventually disbanded, Reinhardt was not content to sit idly by while the world fell to disorder. Once again donning his Crusader armor, he vowed to fight for justice across Europe like a knight of old, defending the innocent and winning the hearts and minds with the promise of better days to come. So LiQuiuD, let's hear what you've got to offer for Reinhardt's ultimate.
All right. I'm only going to get one. Because, like, I'm
One is all that's required.
I'm going with one, though. All right. So, and I'm not gonna cheese out and be like, well, we can use his real ultimate. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create... Reinhardt's going to have kind of an ultimate that's a combination of some of his regular skills and a little bit of Thrall thrown in there just for fun.
Nice.
So Reinhardt... He's got that huge hammer and a jet on his back. He's going to have a ability, and I can't quite come up with a name for it, but I'm envisioning this ability where works great with like a mosh pit. So a good like wombo combo type thing. He's going to use his thrusters to charge forward a set distance. Let's call that double power slide. So good amount of distance, right? Not a short one. This is a long one. But it can be canceled by hitting your R again. So the first time you hit your R button, you charge forward. And the second time you hit your R button, you leap up in the air with that huge hammer. And because Blizzard is graphical geniuses, you will see the jet behind this hammer ignite, and the hammer comes down, slamming into the ground, creating an earthquake-like effect, very similar to Thrall's Earthquake, okay? And that's going to slow enemies like an incredible amount. Like I'm talking 80% kind of amount here. Like you cannot get out of this thing if you're in the middle. So if he hits you in the middle, you're eating every tick of damage in that radius. And we're gonna see like kind of a good chunk of damage come out of that. So you get ETC in there throwing down that mosh pit, and in comes Reinhardt and just slams it down, and you're definitely gonna have some dead people there. And God help you if you are at the exact epicenter, because when that hammer comes down, if it hits you, my friends, you gonna die. Because that is not a light damage attack. All right.
Tell me this. When he brings the hammer down, he obviously says, "Hammer down."
Yes. And that is the name of the skill, too. Now that I'm sitting here talking about it, it's hammer down, and that's what it is.
So LiQuiuD was the most nervous to do this, but he came out with the biggest smile on his face. Turns out everyone can use a little forging in their life, I guess. So guys, I gotta say that was a great segment. I was pretty excited. I think I love to come up with the character ideas, throwing them to you, and no one came up with ultimate ideas that I expected in the slightest. And I guess that's one of the things that makes your guys' show so great too, is like anytime I've listened to it, it's never anything I can ever predict. And it seems that you guys almost always come up with very differing ideas too. Cool. Okay. So again, Jeff and Kristen, you want to tell us a little bit about your show and exactly like how that might differ from what we just did here?
Yeah. So basically the show, it is what we just did right here, except we have a little bit more time to prepare than this, rapid fire Flash Forge, which was really fun. We pick the hero at the end of the week for the Sunday episodes. We record those show live Sunday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific on twitch.tv/amovetv, and you can watch the show where we go through each one of the kits, the full kits, starting with the role classification down to the trait, all the basic abilities, the heroic abilities, the dance moves, and the specialty skins. And then the really cool part is that Kristen and I have both built a kit individually, and then you can go on our Twitter page, which is @ForgeHeroes, and vote on which one of the 2 kits you think won the evening, and then the winner gets to choose the hero for the next week.
Let's be honest, Jeff, who wins most of the votes?
Oh, Kristen wins. Kristen smashes me. I'm the hammer down. She throws the hammer down.
Yeah, the cool thing too is I've headed over your webpage a few times, and you've got all the builds there categorized by universe too. When I was trying to come up with characters, I was challenged to find ones that were popular that you guys hadn't already forged in the past. I feel like you've had so many great heroes you've forged over the time, over like, you know, whatever past 85 episodes or so that you've done too, and you guys have done a great job over there. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep forging, guys. It's a great show you've got, and I was happy to be a little bit a part of it here in this little Flash Forge segment as well.
Oh, dude, thank you so much for having us. I mean, Kristen and I mean, it's so cool that these communities can get together and we can do big mashups like this, and hopefully we can have you guys on our show at some point too, and then you can forge. And Kristen, we talk about this all the time, but it's fun to forge the heroes that have no backstory too. Maybe they aren't the most popular, right?
Yeah, as exciting as it is to bring in very, very known characters from the different universes, the most fun kits we come up with are for things like Scar the Zergling. He's got 4 sentences on his history, but that just leaves a blank slate where anything is possible.
Yeah, and I was impressed even in the Flash Forge today. You know, you guys did 2 Overwatch heroes who already have ultimates in their games, and you guys just 180'd from those completely. LiQuid and Jeff there. I was really impressed, and I know that you guys tried to do that as well too on your show, which is a really awesome thing. I mean, it'd be easy to cop out and be like, oh, I'll just take the heroic over, you know, like probably what Blizzard would actually do in the game, try and like put their kit over as it would appear in Overwatch. But I mean, like, there's challenges on both sides. If you're constrained in a box, or if you got no box, you're constrained with like Scar, like you said, to the Zergling there. Cool. Okay, so we're going to move into the last segment of the show, which is Mystic's Shakedown.
Mystic, I require service of you. I come to you as a friend, asking you to shake down this situation for me.
Okay, I said that LiQuid's voiceover was the best $5 I ever spent. Mystics is right up there too. That was a great $5 I spent on that voiceover. By the way, if anyone's ever wondering, these bumper voiceovers that we use, if you go over to Fiverr.com, I think it's Fiverr with 2 R's. It's amazing what you can find there, and you pay $5. Sometimes it's a little bit more, but it's around $5. You can get voiceover impersonations like you wouldn't believe. Christopher Walken we got for our email bumper too, which is amazing. But anyways, look at Mystic. I don't want to steal your segment here, so go ahead and shake down the situation for me.
Okay, so my topic for this week is something to fight for. I'm sure everybody's been in the situation where they go in, they win a team fight, and then everybody backs off because, you know, everybody's low on health. And then when they come back to the battlefield after they've healed up in their hollow storms, the enemies have all respawned, and that fight may have gotten you like maybe a little bit of experience, but not really you're not any closer to winning the game. You haven't taken down any structures. So what you want to do after you get a kill or multiple kills or even a team wipe is you want to take something, right? So kills are one thing. They give you experience, but if you're behind, they give you more experience. So while you're behind, getting kills can be a way, although it's kind of risky, to get you back into the game experience-wise. Other things you can do after you get a kill or 2 is to take structures, right? The enemy team, if they want to stop you, they're either going to try to stop you at their structure, but now you guys are up 2 people, or they're just going to back off entirely and let you take the structure, right? Which is the safer thing to do because they don't want to die, they don't want to get killed and stagger deaths. So always take something after you get a kill. Map objectives. There's going to be team fights all over the place, and especially though on map objectives, because everybody wants that Punisher or everybody wants that Dragon Knight, right? So what you can do is you can get a pick, right? You can, while they're rotating to the map objective, you can set up like a party brush or something like a little bit farther out, because as people get closer and closer to the map objective, they're more and more on guard that they're like, okay, the fight's probably going to happen here. However, if you take the fight before then and you take them out and then you go for the map objective, they're probably not going to contest you. And now camps invading, you can either do this before or after you get some kills. If you are ahead, you can do this before. So you can go in, try to take their camp. If they come contest you and you're a talent up, then the fight is in your favor. However, if you are talents down, then you probably want to take someone out before you go to try to contest the camp, as that will make it safer and you will have the number advantage.
I gotta say, after getting those kills, it always feels so good. But then usually there's that moment like, okay, now what? And it's good that you can lay it out a little bit for us and say, okay, maybe it's a good idea to focus on getting some pressure somewhere on the map to try and further the objective. I mean, there's often that moment where like everyone's trying to like figure out what to do. Maybe some people are running one way, some people are running other. I think that's another problem in itself, trying to like choreograph the group to make sure everyone does the next thing after you win that said team fight. Okay, well, I think we're gonna close the show off here. Kristen and Jeff, thank you so much for coming on the show. You guys were an inspiring presence, full of energy as per usual, just as we had expected. It was great having you on the show. Where can everyone find you guys on the show? Let's start with Kristen. Where can people find you on this fabulous thing that we call the internet these days?
Well, this fabulous thing, you can find me at Dream Destroyer. That is DRMDESTRYR over at Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram.
How about you, Jeff? Where can people find you?
You can find me on Heroes Forge. That's the show I dedicate most of my time to. And you can check out our website, which is heroesforge.club, for all of the Twitch links and YouTube links and all that fun. And of course, Kristen is there as well.
Okay, LiQuid, let's move to you next. Where can people find you on the interweb?
So the best place to find me is over on Twitter, at LiQuiuDGG. That's LiQiuDGG. I tweet when I'm going live, tweet when I am covering something, whether it's casting or streaming or just any esports news I happen across. I got a nugget right now that I'm saving because I'm not sure I can quite make it live yet, but God, I'm bursting at the seams to share it. So follow me on Twitter if you want to know as soon as I can talk about it.
Ooh, a little teaser. If I wasn't following you already, I'd definitely click that follow button, LiQuiud. And Mystic, I'm doing a little look here on your Twitter profile to see if you've had any activity over the past week. And disappointingly, you haven't done any tweets over the past week. What's going on?
I've been kind of busy with work and, checking out some other things, so I haven't been able to tweet recently.
Jeff and Kristen, we've been trying to get Mystic to use Twitter. As you can check out his profile page at Mystic Shroud, you probably notice he doesn't have an avatar yet. He doesn't have any colors selected. We're working on him diligently to try and get those up there. We're doing the tweet count every week, and he's currently at 20 tweets. Getting up there, improving every week, Mystic. Everybody, give Mystic a follow over at Mystic Shroud and spur him on in his Twitter development.
Yeah, Heroes Forge is following you right now, Mystic.
Nice. Mystic,
Thank you.
That's the gateway drug to the big time right there. And if you want to find me, you can find me at DazHots or here on the Nexus Trolls, the Heroes Storm podcast. We stream this live on our Twitch channel every week, ironically, except for this one, because Twitch is getting DDoS during our regular time, so we just decided to record this and we'll broadcast it later on YouTube. But usually you can find us on Twitch at twitch.tv/trollsgg every week on Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Pacific. I want to thank again all our patron supporters over at patreon.com/trollsgg. If you like the show, you're looking for a way to support us, you can always do so over at patreon.com/trollsgg. Please also subscribe to our show on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or wherever you happen to find your podcasts online. You can find us on any of those outlets. You can also visit our website at trolls.gg/TheNexusTrolls to watch this and past shows, along with past video streams, which can also be found on our YouTube channel. And keep an eye out, too, because we're doing a big refresh for the Trolls GG website, which should be incoming within the next few weeks that I'm really excited about. We put a lot of time into. For announcements about the show and general Heroes of the Storm news, you can follow us on Twitter at @TheNexusTrolls. If you want to hang out with the Trolls community in-game, you can /join TrollsGG in-game or join our Discord channel, which you can find the link for there at trolls.gg/Discord. And finally, the end of this long outro, if you need to get in touch with us, the best way is by email at TheNexusTrolls@trollsgg.
I got to throw one thing in before you play us out, man.
Of course. What is it, LiQuiud?
Hashtag Heroes for Harvey. Please go donate money. It's going to a good cause.
Very much so. Check that out. The links for that will be in the show notes as well. And again, thanks everyone for coming on the show. Thanks again to Jeff and Kristen for guesting on the show this week. We've had a blast. Thanks to all our listeners for listening. Thanks to all our viewers for watching. Everybody, have a great week.